in the kitchen, in the beauty salons, over the fence, and during brunch. Right here, right now, this is our Voices. The hottest internet talk show where women like us get quite vocal.
Yeah.
Now, today's topic is about career versus children. Okay, so there are so many different women that are out there that are mothers, and they're faced with this same question. Do you choose a career over your children? And be quite frank with you, there are lots of women who choose their career. But the question is, what defines that type of woman? Is she considered a bad mother or a good mother? What defines a career woman who is also a mommy? Miss Linda? Okay, I got you, Bindu. Go ahead.
Ambition. Want to give to the world knowledge, impart knowledge. Example, Barbara Walters. Barbara Walters is such a great person, and she has interviewed almost every world leader. Everybody look up to Barbara Walters. She's iconic. Now, if Barbara Walters was to sit down and do nothing, can you imagine there will be, who will take the place of Barbara Walters?
Oh, I
No
know.
one.
Well, that's a really good, valid point, because Barbara Walters has been a working mom for quite some time. And to be honest with you, what would the world be like if she wasn't there? But that's coming from our perspective. What about from her daughter's perspective? That's what the big question is. And if in case, is she still considered a good mom? So what would really define a good mom if she's choosing her career as far as quality time over with her child? Ms. Linda, how would you define that kind of woman?
First of all, if you're a woman that wants to have a high-powered career, and they don't feel that they're going to have time to have, quality time with their children, I think those women should hold off on having kids. They need to hold off on having kids until they're maybe a little bit later in life and set and know what they want and can figure out the time.
Child, when will that ever be?
If you cannot have quality time with your child, why are you having a child?
Well, I disagree. I don't think that you have to have quality time every day with your child.
Yes, you do.
I don't believe so.
No.
I don't believe that
You know what?
have to
Okay.
be.
That's when you come into problems with teenagers, teen pregnancy, you have alcohol, drug abuse, you have boyfriends sneaking in, you have all kinds of stuff going on if there's not supervision. What?
Excuse me, you're talking about teen pregnancy. The kids nowadays are having sex at the school.
And do you think that's right?
At the
I don't think
school.
that's right.
Well, regardless of whether
at
they're
the
happening
school.
at the school or not, the bottom line is, would it be happening if their moms were at home with them?
Excuse
No,
That's
that would
what
not
Mo
be
cares.
happening. Not as often as it is right now. There's so many women in these high-powered positions, okay, that are having a babysitter look after their child, or a daycare, or a family member, but those children are spending quality time with these people, but they're not really connecting with their mom anymore.
Linda, would you give the same recommendation that you said that you should hold off with kids until you have that high-powered career? I mean, it's finished, you're where are you at with children? Would you make that same recommendation to a man?
Good
It's
point.
different.
No, it's not.
Let her make her point. Let her make her point, because we asked the question.
I'm done. No, let's go.
No, Miranda,
I'm done with
listen.
you. No.
My point is, when you get married, you have these conversations. Are you going to work when we have kids? Or am I going
That
to
is
stay
so
home?
true.
If you don't have that conversation, who's going to raise my kid? For myself and millions of other moms out there, they choose to stay home if it's possible.
There are a lot of mothers that are doctors, lawyers,
Thank
and they
you.
pull it off just fine. That's what nannies and au pairs are for. And they don't work all the time, but they do, and they're teaching these they're teaching their children to be responsible
Yes.
and to the workforce that that their daughters don't have to just make
Okay.
babies and be a
No,
baby
listen,
maker.
okay, I don't have a problem
She
with
went there.
women in the workforce doing professional jobs.
I have 4 children.
What I'm saying is to make that quality time with your child. If your
My
daughter-
children, I have quality time with my children. I have 4 teenagers, and they're not out getting pregnant. My son is valedictorian of his class, and I have always been a working mom. And I am a working mom. I've always been one, and I've always had them with a babysitter. And my children are not on drugs,
Well, you know-
or on alcohol, or
That's great, but there are a
Look
lot
at
of
two moms. Look at two moms going like head to head
there are
right
a
now.
lot of people out there that don't have somebody.
a
who
lot of
wants-
people. Okay, but those people that are just sending their
Wait,
children
wait,
to
wait.
a center.
Okay,
What
Well,
are
first of
they
all,
doing?
time out,
taking
time
it all
out.
wrong.
First of all, this is not a personal attack on either one of your choosing on how to be a mother, okay? What we're trying to see is what defines whether or not a mom is a good mom if she chooses her career over her child. And that could be relative, but the point is we got to get these 2 perspectives. So let's get one from Miranda, who's not a mom.
I'm not. Well, I think it's really interesting when you say what makes a good mother and what makes a bad mother. I think a good mother is someone, you know, she might not be there all the time, but she's able to put in the time that's needed to be there for her child, like my mom did. My mother was, you know, we're a lower middle class family. She had to go in at 9 and she didn't come home until 6 o'clock. So I would have to, you know, go 5 hours after my school day without my mother, and my father was there basically to raise us during those afternoons. But she put in the time. She was always at my
So
assemblies.
you were a latchkey kid.
I guess.
I was like a kid.
And are you a drug addict?
No, I'm not a drug addict. I mean, I take drugs when I need them.
I had
Were you
sex in
having
high
sex
school,
after school?
and I did. I
Wait,
had sex
now
after
listen to
school.
this.
I'm just gonna put it out there. I did, and it had nothing to do whether my mom was there or not. Because I can tell you this: kids will find a way. Period.
Find a
Yeah.
way.
Okay.
They will find a way.
All right.
Whether your mama is there or not.
Oh, no.
Okay, but
Yeah.
listen.
And their mama can be in the same other room.
Well, this
Oh
is
my
not an
God.
attack on you, though, Linda.
Okay, but let me get what I'm trying to say. Okay, basically, what I'm trying to say, women in high profile jobs, okay, professional jobs, they have the money, they can afford to have the best education for their kids, give them whatever they want. But that also opens up the door for better drugs. You know, better things like that, you know, easier to come by. And, you know, you don't have to be a lower class,
You don't think
You know,
think their moral
family-
compasses are
but what I'm
intact basically if they don't have their parents around?
No, but what I'm trying to say is these women that are in these jobs, if they don't make that quality time when they come home from work, how are you, honey? You know, make a conversation, make it about
Yeah, I
them.
agree with
Or
that.
when they're off,
I
take
agree.
them someplace where they know that they're special and they're not just going to be forgotten.
These are both really great points as far as whether or not a woman is defined as a good mom if she's working full-time or is her full-time career basically staying at home with the children. I have to tell you, all of you guys know her by name and by face, Shirley MacLaine. She is a world famous actress and she put her career first every single time. But just recently, Oprah Winfrey did an interview with her daughter based on a best-selling novel. And you know what it's about? The fact that her mom was not there. Shirley MacLaine was so, some people would guess, obsessed with her career, she forgot to spend the quality time with her daughter. Her daughter hardly even knew her mom. She just knew her through television, through films.
Wow.
That was it. So I can support and understand what Linda was saying as far as mothers not being there and the children growing up with nannies or with strangers for that matter, or their peers. God forbid their peers give them advice. But then I have to admit that I'm a latchkey kid. My mom had to work from 8 o'clock until 6 o'clock in the evening, and I didn't see her until around 7 or 8. And I turned out just fine.
You know something? It takes a village to raise a child. The mom may not be there, but you have the babysitter, you have the grandmom, you have the granddad and everything. Career women. Let me think about another person, Beyonce. Beyonce
Yeah.
makes such great songs. that everybody, like, look at the 17 or more songs that lady just dropped. I mean, I'm no shaky person like Beyonce, but when I hear her song in the bathroom, I'm shaking to it. She leaves Blue Ivy.
We're going to another subject. She's about to go there.
She leaves Blue Ivy and go and perform. And, you know, imagine if she told her, you know what, I got so much money, I got $300 million, I'm just gonna stay home and don't make music. Blue Ivy, come here, let me take care of you every time. She's like, you know what?
But that would be her choice. I mean,
Well, but her
it doesn't
choice-
matter if you have how much money you have. I mean, it just depends on what you do with it.
But she's still a great mother. You know, she's still a great mother, but still, you know, bringing out great music for the entire universe. For the entire universe. I mean, you like
whether her music is great or not doesn't
Julia
even
Roberts,
matter.
Julia Roberts has 3 children, and she started her family later in life because she was 40, I think, when she started.
Well, that's
her first
almost
one.
questionable because you're supporting Linda's point, and that point was Julia
Wait.
Roberts does have a lot of money. She had a great career, but I guarantee when she was having her children, she was not on set working.
She was pregnant in a pool on one of her sets.
Pregnant when she gave birth, when she had kids. Though, was she still working, or was she taking that time to spend with her children
I
only?
mean, there
Your kids
are
are still
She
minors.
still does it. Yeah, she still does it. She still works, and there is a fine balance. You can do it. Women can do it.
Yes.
They can do it, and their children will come out fine. They just have to balance. And you know, us
Balance.
women,
Balance. I was
Yeah.
hoping somebody would say it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, you know something? Speaking of Julia Roberts, she said that her husband was in full support of the movie she just recently did. She said, it was my whole family when I told about moving to LA and everything. He kind of pitched in, and he even encouraged me, you know, to do this movie. So balance, like you said.
Go ahead,
know,
Miranda.
I believe it has to
There
do
is a
with
balance.
your family network. You know, who do you have that's going to be supporting you while you're working? You know,
So there can be triumphs in this whole situation.
There can be, but I mean, there have to be people that you trust, you know, there are people out there that will abuse your child or, you know, not watch them like you would if you were home. But I'm just saying, there are those people out there, so you just have to be careful. I mean, I'm not saying every child that has a mom that works is gonna fall into all these problems.
So this is what becomes the huge challenge that everyone wants to argue about, is that when a woman is working and she has children, this is what quality time is defined as. Is she gonna make it to Johnny's soccer practice? Is she gonna make it to Julia's cheerleading practice? Is she gonna take me out to sell my Girl Scout cookies, Mom? That is what becomes the issue, because that's what some people consider quality time, doing homework with them, spending time where it counts, not Skyping while she's at the office. That's some options that people use, not one of my favorites. But Miranda, have you ever heard scenarios that are like this, where moms are just pretty much missing important topics and issues and situations with their children that the kids just are unhappy about? Or maybe they're glad.
I mean, I had, you know, I had friends in high school who, you know, their mothers weren't there when we were at the I had choir, and when they weren't at the performances, they weren't at the dinners and stuff like that. And you could see it on their faces that, you know, they were disappointed, the fact that they were alone and I was with my mother. I mean, I had the opposite thing. My mom was always there for me where my father wasn't. So, I mean, I have that. It's the opposite with me. Thing is, though, when it comes to women, they're expected to be at these dinners. They're expected to be at the recitals because they're supposed to be the nurturing side. It's not the father who's the professional career man who, you know, who doesn't have to be there. My father's absence affected me more than my mother actually being there, but that's besides the point. I feel that as long as there's one parent there supporting you, encouraging you, it can be like your uncle, it could be your grandfather, as long as there's somebody there for you, I feel like you're gonna be just fine. That's how I think.
Pressure off the working mom.
Yeah,
somebody.
It's not always, I wasn't always at all of my children's baseball games. Sometimes I had to be at one baseball game versus another because I have 3 boys.
Yeah.
And so you balance it out.
Yeah.
You go to some of them, and you don't have to be to all of them because without you even being there, you are there.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's
Irene,
good.
how did it make you feel though, as a mom, and you couldn't make it to one of your children's game? You knew if they scored, you weren't there to celebrate in that moment.
Well,
How
that's
did it make
when
you
a
feel as a
video
mom,
camera-
a working mom?
Video cameras. My pretend sister, I'm an only child. My pretend sister always videotaped everything for me, and so I could watch it that way. And you know,
Again, how did it make you feel not being there though?
my mind was somewhere else. I didn't, not that I didn't care not being there, but I knew that I would hear about it and it would be okay, that it was okay because I was somewhere else. I had to be somewhere else.
And your kids understood that?
My kids understood that. Sometimes I had to be at work and I had to close somebody's job because they died. And so,
She's a nurse, by the way.
and so I had to be in hospice care and I couldn't always be there. And you know, my kids just knew Mom was at work. It's okay, Mom's at work. Someone else is here for me. My aunt's here. My dad's here. Their dad
Yeah,
always
I mean,
went to
that's
everything.
how I feel. As long as there's somebody there to support
And
the
their
child.
other siblings were there sometimes.
yeah.
And just, you know, it's
But the thing about it, it makes a great conversation for the dinner table.
It
Hey, daughter, how was your
Or
game?
when you're out to brunch.
Yeah,
Right.
how was your game today? I mean, you guys are very, very lucky over here. I come from a family of athletes, okay? A lot of the parents in Africa and internationally are not there for the kids' game, but there's the radio, they listen to the school. Oh my God, my son scored today. Oh my God, Bendo, how did you do in your kickball game? Oh my God, Bendo, you said your team won the first place. I mean, it made great conversation,
great,
and I
yes.
will never, ever feel left out because my mom wasn't there, my dad wasn't there. My dad was at none of my game, but you know what, the conversations we had later on.
Okay. So these are really strong, valid points of views, but I mean, again, we still have a mom who's very firm in the fact that having her presence there is important. So again, did you share in the same philosophy, or are you still, sticking to your guns that there's no way a working mom should continue to work when she has children she should be present with the entire time?
Well, I mean, I don't think women always have to make sacrifices no matter whether it's work or between your children. And what you were saying, Irene, in regards to if you can't be at one child's baseball game, we can record it and you can watch it and be involved there. And to me, I do feel that yes, like if I couldn't make it to one of my girls' recitals or something, I'd be torn up inside.
Yes.
Because those are my babies. I want to see it. And if I can't see it, the next best thing is to have it recorded and so you can watch it with them and be excited at the same time. Because when I was growing up, I mean, I was in the drill team, dance team, I was in a play, and not one time did my parents show up.
oh,
So it's hurtful, But my sister was always there. And I just want to be there for my team.
Oh, Linda.
Because it just affects me because I see I want to be a good mom. I want to be there for my kids. And just like for when things happen in your life, you want to change it. You want to make sure that you're there for your kids. You don't want to have somebody else, a babysitter or somebody instead of you. That's why it's so important for me to be able to be a part of my child's everything.
And I often wonder, do children become callous when their mother is not there? I mean, you see this emotion right now coming from Linda, but I even know for myself, I got so accustomed to the fact that my mom was not there for a lot of events that I had because she had to work to the point where whether she showed up or not, didn't matter to me, and I don't know if that's something I want to reiterate in my own children. Do I want them to feel like, well, if mom shows up or doesn't show up, who cares? I don't want them to feel that. And so I totally get and understand what you're saying. But at the same time, and this is really important, women have goals, they have dreams, they have aspirations, and when you have children, it ain't all about you anymore, right? It's not all about you anymore. But so where do you draw the line as far as when it's about you, when it's not? Okay, I'm sure you guys all know the nursery rhyme. First comes love, then comes marriage, then comes the baby in the baby carriage. What they forgot is before the baby and the baby carriage comes, the career, then the baby and the baby carriage should come. So then that way you don't feel like you're sacrificing so much. You have time to fulfill your career dreams, Mom, and then figure out some game plan with the father, please be there, on how you can both be there to support your children. Now that is my suggestion. Any other suggestions we have out here?
Well, with your children, it's just important to be able to talk to them, hug them, kiss them, let them know you love them, even if you're not there. That's so important. Just even asking, how was your game, or how was your recital? It just makes a world of difference in how a child perceives the whole situation.
Yeah, I totally agree.
I do too. I totally agree. And when I'm not there with my children, they know that I'm in their heart.
Good point.
Yeah, I mean, I
That's
agree.
very
Like,
Hallmark.
as oh my god, as you know, I mean, as someone who knew my mom was there, and she asked me how my day was and how things were going and stuff like that, she really impacted me. She showed me that she loved me, that she was going to support me no matter what through the tough times. Even if my dad wasn't there for me emotionally, my mother was going to be, and she was a tremendous inspiration to me, and I completely respect my mother, and I just want more mothers like her, someone who's, you know, working but loves their children, goes to their recitals, goes to their choir concerts, and, you know, encourages them, supports them.
You know what, let me just reiterate, my mom was a working mom because she had to. She had to, but there are a lot of women out there who have the option of making the choice. I'm one of those women. I'm at an age in my life where I constantly getting from people, don't you want a family? Don't you want kids? I do. I want a little ISIS. However, I know that I am so adamant about achieving my career goals that I'll be too selfish to really invest the quality time that I would need to put into a human being who didn't have the choice of being here. Okay, and that's really the bottom line. And so for me, and I think speaking for a lot of women who want both, you have to be mature and coming up to that conclusion on what comes first. That's really the bottom line, because once you have a child, that child is dependent on you to show them love, however you may give it. Thank God for modern technology, you know, that we have Skype. But what if it breaks down? Then what are you gonna do?
Skype is not going to break down. Trust me, it's even going to get better.
Yeah, you go Skype.
Hopefully that'll be the case. But then what you're saying is that moms, go ahead, have children and have your career, because you can rely on Skype, right?
I still go ahead and have your career. Why put it aside? I mean, kids, statistics show that whether you're home or not home, both sections, the kids are doing okay. The kids are doing okay. It's a matter of balance, of finding that substitute, or finding that person, you know, that would be there if you're not there. If you find that right person to be there while you're not there, trust me, the kids will come out okay. And no matter what side of the fence you're on, Linda's side or whatever.
I kind of feel like it's like being in Vegas. You're rolling the dice, right? I mean, honestly, you don't know how your kids may turn out if you're not the one there watching them. If you're not there, you're really rolling the dice, because who knows if grandma smiley face is gonna make sure that your kid is inside before the lights go out on the street. You know how the rule is.
Even when you are there, there are house moms that are raising children that are drug addicts and alcoholics.
Thank you.
Their whole family dynamic is different. You know, like they might have a drug problem themselves. You know, there could be all different types of issues why these kids fall.
Well, that's all the time that we have left. But as you know, a stimulating topic like this doesn't die easily. You've heard our voices. Now it's time for us to hear yours. Go onto our blog. Let us know, what do you think? Is it career or children? And if you're a mom, how does that make you feel? We'll see you next week.
Bye.